And it's several items around workforce concerns as we continue to open businesses. So childcare, the governor mentioned, I think you said 52% are licensed or not open currently. So clearly, childcare from a daycare perspective, but also how do we look at some of the summer camps and some of the other avenues that parents utilize during the summer, so that we can get folks back to work. So that's kind of the topic. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that. I think our first initial thought was maybe we also need to look at guidelines and guidance, best practices for those entities also might help some of them feel more comfortable opening up. So I'll throw it out to the group.
And Jennifer, I'll pop in here really quick when you talk about like the summer camps, and I think that's one of the issues in discussing with our governance group and the political subdivisions with that have their parks and their recreation commissions. You know, those are largely some of the entities that we see that children, parents, and their children use. So I think that's one of those things where, again, we kind of have this kind of cross-pollination of how we can work together to help achieve that same goal on, hey, look, as parents are going back to work and as children are out of school, what are some of the opportunities that we can set up for children to participate in?
Jennifer, I'm happy to tell you what we're doing at Nephron. Before I started working with my husband in this business, I worked in the childcare business. So I have a background of being licensed in and around facilities. And we knew that we had right at the beginning about 5 people that were essential that couldn't show up. They had no alternative for their children. And because we have the educator program at Nephron, we have about 4 or 5 children that are coming spaced out. We do not serve anything with anything predominantly scary about peanut allergies. We're feeding those children. The parents are able to come down and eat with the children, take care of them, because we have certified teachers, at least 850 of them working in our teacher program. They're helping the children with their e-learning, which is keeping a little more sanity for the parents when they get home and are exhausted. And while it may not be ideal and it may not be the licensed way of doing things forever, it is the only thing we could do to help those children. They get to go outside into the open field and have physical activity, so they're not as upset as some of the children who are staying at home with maybe older siblings and fights are ensuing. So if anybody's interested, I'm happy to share how we have a curriculum laid out for those children from like 8 to 5 every day for us to be able to get their parents to work.
Excellent.
Joanne?
Thank you. I want to offer a nonprofit arm to everyone here. One of the things we're doing, both with the whns-tv fund that we stood up for COVID-19 response, thank you, Governor, is taking a look at having cluster groups set up around the state with philanthropists. And what we're doing is we're identifying the most vulnerable, because it's not just access to childcare, it's the ability to pay for childcare. And so a number of the grants that have been going out, both from the whns-tv and from local coordinated efforts in the Low Country, the Upstate, the PD, have been to organizations, nonprofit organizations that are providing vouchers or funding, that are standing up facilities that have been closed as temporary child care centers, schools, gyms, YMCAs, et cetera, that aren't being used for their regular purpose, but can be stood up that way. So as we're taking a look at restaurants opening up, as we're taking a look at other industries where folks might have been out of work for a bit and may not have the wherewithal to send their kids to childcare, and they can't have their older parents taking care of them, please reach out. I'm happy to help coordinate funding responses and funding requests to help us get our families back to work.
You know, that's such a good idea, because we got 1,200 schools in the state, and none of them have any children in them right now. And that might be a good place to have some temporary child care work done And those schools are all over the state. And they're going to be closed till the fall.